Good deal. All right, Nick, you ready for some questions?
Sure.
All right. All right. Well, as a financial planner, how do you encourage clients to diversify their investment portfolios to include real estate?
That's a good question. Diversifying your portfolio is very important because it adds value. So if you have a few investments that are going down, then you have a few investments going up. So it evens things out a lot better. Real estate is considered an alternative investment, and history kind of shows that you need at least 20% of your overall investments in alternative investments like real estate. That just adds a lot of value. It offsets a lot of volatility as well, and it makes your money grow faster. So we definitely encourage real estate. A lot of folks that we talk to, they're just they're just not aware of the options there. So that's where connecting them with Flint and the Tristone Group and Brandon to let them know what those options might look like. So we have, for example, these scenarios that say, well, that's nice to be able to purchase two rental properties, but how do I do it? And so that's where you guys come in to really help out and make it smooth and comfortable for them. So yeah, real estate investing is very important, can make a huge difference, as you can see with this scenario that we created today.
That's great. Yeah, I mean, such a stabilizing factor with future planning. It seems like for a lot of people, just budgeting and just kind of the things that you want to think about from a financial planning perspective. Um, well, the next question was, what target percentage of a portfolio do you recommend diversifying? I believe you said about 20% is about what you'd recommend for that space.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, alternatives. Another alternative would be like energy or steel or commodities, stuff like that. But real estate seems to be a little more consistent with the rates of return. Over time, they've done very well. You don't really see them go down as often. Um, they're not traded like stocks on a daily basis. I mean, they could be, but they're more expanded over time. And I think the last big downturn that we had was like 2008 and 9 was really the worst period that I could think of. But after that point, I mean, it's been slow growth, and then the last few years it's been fast growth. So it's been a good investment.
What differences in advice would you consider necessary if you're advising someone looking at their first investment as opposed to a seasoned investor?
Well, a seasoned investor is going to know the strings. They have different options, and they might know a little more about what they're looking for the next one, as opposed to a new first time buyer might not know what questions to ask and what to look for. So that's where surrounding yourself with professionals like Brandon and Flint to be able to help you and guide you in, well, what type of rental property, how can I pay for it? How can I, for my situation, what's the best way to borrow money? So
Mhm.
just having the professionals surrounding you will be a huge breakthrough for a first time home buyer.
A lot of times the first time home buyer is going to buy their non-forever home, if that makes sense. It's a lot of people go into townhomes, smaller single families because they have a small family at the time, and turn it into a rental property, and then ultimately buy a new primary residence. And what I mean by that is all you have to do is ultimately convert a lease agreement, which Flint, that can be very, very simple. You can get a lease agreement on that property, negate that whole mortgage, and then rebuy a new primary residence that suits you and your family in a better need. And something of that sorts would only require 5% down, and there's still no rule against tapping into the equity of your current home to obtain that 5%. So that's another conversation I absolutely love having with people because they want to think big picture, which is awesome. They want to think about the future, and the property that you might have right now as your very own property might turn into that rental property that can guide you to the finish line, as Nick showed.
And it kind of leads right into this, but as a beginner, a potential new investor, the whole process can seem overwhelming. In terms of getting started, am I better off talking with a real estate professional or a financial advisor? And where does the process take me from there? Nick, love to get your perspective there.
Yeah, and another great question, Flint, and I would say start with your financial advisor because as you saw today with the whole financial planning aspect of it, you need to know where you're at and what your options are. So being able to have that guidance and that clear tool to be able to show you where you need to start and what you need to be focused on, and then the financial advisor can act almost as a quarterback. Okay, you need to talk to Brandon about financing, or you need to talk to Flint about properties that will be able to help you within that range. So I would say start with the financial advisor and get some guidance there.
I think when it comes to real estate investing, it's important to think of it as a process, not a product. Product comes and goes. You're buying an asset when it comes to real estate investing. And really what you're buying is the chart on the screen here. You're buying that long-term growth. And when you substitute in a good real estate asset, no one can predict the future. But if you buy it the right way, if you work with professionals like Nick, if you work with professionals like Brandon, you're just putting your money into a good asset class that's going to work with you moving forward. And so it really becomes, that relationship with that asset and how you handle it moving forward. It's how you're going to ensure that it grows the way that you want to. So we work with financial planners regularly. It's very common for us to get referrals from financial planners because they simply know that we're going to take good care of their clients and the money is going to come back to them so that they can do really good things with it moving forward. And so if someone is only invested in real estate, we always want them to talk with someone like Nick. It's just good, solid sense for your family moving forward. Real estate is a portion of what you need to do, but much like Nick said earlier, 20% is probably a good allocation for most people. So when you're thinking in those terms, you can speak with someone like Nick and make sure that everything is in balance. But we would absolutely recommend talking with a financial advisor first before you do anything related to real estate investing. One more question here for you, Nick. Do you have any familiarity with 1031 exchange as an investor? I guess we'll just start there. Are you familiar with a 1031 at all, Nick?
Yeah, 1031 is just a way to be able to kick the tax bucket down. And what I mean by that is your real estate will grow in value over time. And if you decide to sell that property in the future and purchase new properties, maybe it grows to a value where you can buy 2 rentals for the price of that one. Then you can pretty much, the gains that you've made on that property, you can go ahead and defer paying taxes on that until you've cashed out completely. So by reinvesting that real estate money in real estate allows you to be able to, what I call, kick the tax bucket down the road a little bit longer.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of going through the process, it's probably more a real estate side of things. But, really what Nick's alluding to is any profit that you recoup on an investment, as long as it's reinvested into a like-kind property, you don't have to pay taxes on it as long as that profit is reinvested. For people that invest in real estate long terms, that's probably one of the more powerful vehicles that they have access to. And then when you are also talking with someone like Nick in terms of other investment strategies alongside of that, it's a huge way to not only diversify yourself long term, but really shelter a lot of taxes in the process. So it's a great tool for people. We'd be happy to talk with you more about that as well. Most people, when it comes to real estate, they have a 1031 professional that they work with because it becomes a pretty involved process. So we're happy to hold your hand through any of that type of stuff. And that's something that our clients come to us all the time. And so a lot of times when it comes to 1031, you're going to go back and you're going to talk to someone like Nick, a CPA professional, because there are some things to kind of balance there as far as those taxes go. And, whether you sell it now, whether you hold on to it, that's just a whole analysis that you kind of have to go through. So with that, Nick, do you have any final thoughts you'd like to share with us before we wrap up today?
Yeah, just to kind of tag on that. I mean, we are certified financial planners, so we look at the full financial health. And part of that is the tax planning side. So we help guide in that factor. Another great benefit of real estate investing is the income is taxed differently. So it's more favorable on the tax side. So we usually recommend buying real estate outside of retirement accounts I know there's some people out there that recommend buying it inside of an IRA or a different retirement plan. But the trouble that you get in with that is at age 72, you have to start taking withdrawals from your retirement accounts. And the withdrawals are based on the account value. So if you have real estate, it can get really expensive to get those appraised every single year if you have your real estate in your IRA or retirement accounts. So we recommend buying your real estate investments outside of retirement accounts for the tax planning purpose of it. It's just a lot, it'll save you a lot of money.
It's a very involved conversation there. You definitely have to have the right people in the mix, having that conversation for sure. Brandon, is there anything else that you'd like to add before we wrap up today?
Nothing more to add. I just love the fact that, you know, everything kind of circles back to where we started, and that's just have a conversation with professionals. So ultimately, real estate investing can be daunting from the surface, but once you start peeling back those layers and you get in touch with the right people, which, you know, yourself and Nick are the best in the business. So I can tell anybody, as soon as they get in touch with them, you start peeling back the layers, you keep it a step-by-step process. It's actually very simple at the end of the day and can be a tool that takes you to the finish line very fruitfully.
Mm-hmm. Work with people that have a fiduciary interest in their clients. And, you know, when Nick's working with a client, he's a licensed advisor. He's working with them to the finish line. That's his goal. And so, you know, he's given advice that, you know, is proven. He's got a track record with it. When it comes to us, it's the same thing. When it comes to Brandon, it's the same thing. It's what's in the best interest of the client. If it's not a good time for them to invest in real estate, we'll tell them. If they need to wait a little bit, we'll tell them. You know, when I'm working with people like Brandon and Nick both, I mean, they're going to kind of give us an idea of where someone's at and if it makes sense for them. And, you know, we don't run into emergencies in our line of work. We plan for things appropriately, and then we take action when the time is right. But when it comes to investing in real estate, it's just something that you're going to take action on when the time is right for you and your family. And that's why having this plan in place is really the most important thing, because once you have that in place, then you can start building on it. And that just takes time like anything else does. So we're really fortunate to have good professionals like both of you on our side, and we really appreciate that support and thank you for that. I know this is going to be a huge value add to our clients. We've got people that are just thinking about getting started. We've got people that just bought their first investment property. And we've got people that are really looking to grow pretty large portfolios. So anything in between is really kind of in our wheelhouse. And we love to partner with people like Nick, like Brandon. And we love to, you know, put our clients in front of them because we know that they're going to get good quality advice. So hope you benefited something from this today. We'll certainly be able to connect you with Nick and Brandon both moving forward. We just want to thank you both for your time. Okay, we'll bring it to a close.